Hey Finxters, welcome back. Now it is time that we have a look at another example. So this time I have chosen the Finxter.com website to scrape some data. Now if you open up app.finxter.com, you'll find that this website or this web page has a table which lists the username, the points or the ELOs acquired by those users, and the ranks based on the points that they acquire. Now in this video, we are going to try and scrape the following data from this table. So without further delay, let us dive into the solution. So let us begin by importing the required libraries. So that would be the requests library and the beautiful soup library. Now the next step is to create the user agent. So we have the headers variable or the headers dictionary that stores our user agent. Now the next step would be to send the GET request. So let us create a variable named response, and then let's use the requests library and the get function. And now we need to provide the URL to the website. So let us copy and paste that. Oops, I didn't copy it properly. Now let's paste it. Now the next argument would be our headers variable, which stores the user agent. Now let's create a variable named web page, which will store the contents of the response or the contents of the web page that we want to extract. So response.content. Now let's use a print statement to check if the response or the request was properly processed. Response.statuscode. Now before proceeding further, let us try and run this code once and check if we are getting the proper status code, and there we go. It's 200. That means our request was properly processed and we are getting a correct response. Now it's time for us to create the beautiful soup object. So I'll name it soup equals beautiful soup, and within it I need to pass the variable web page, and then I need to provide a parser. So we'll use the HTML parser. Okay, now we are all set to prepare our logic and write down the code. So in order to do that, let us try and inspect our website. So this is the exact table that we need to extract the data from. So let's inspect this table. And let's try and find out the parent tag or the parent element. So this is the table, and the class w3tableAll appears to be the parent tag. As you can see, as soon as I move the pointer on this element, the entire table gets highlighted. So this definitely has to be the parent element. So let's make use of this. So let us move into our coding window. Now let's use a for loop to iterate over the table. For table in soup.findAll, and now we want to iterate over the table element, so let's mention it. And now we need the class, so w3tableAll would be the class. So let's feed that in. Class equals w3tableAll. And now if you have a look at this web page, we have numerous other tables. For instance, this table, again this table, and if we go down, we again have this table. So in order to avoid any confusion, let us use the limit argument and just extract the table that we want to extract the data from. So limit equals 1. Okay, we are all set to iterate over the table that we need. Now let us find out the portion that holds the data that we want to extract. So this is what we want to extract. And as you can see, as soon as I moved on to TR, the portion that we want to extract is highlighted. So we need to use the TR tag. And within the TR tag, we would also need each TD tag. So this would basically mean that we need to iterate over each TR tag, and within each TR tag, we must extract the data from the TD tags. So let's do that. So the first loop would be for tr in table dot find all, and then let's feed in the tr tag. And now within this loop, we need to extract the data from each TD tag or TD element. So before that, let us create three variables. Name, which has the string username. I guess this is self-explanatory. We are going to store the username in the name variable, while elo will store the points or the elos. And finally, we have the rank variable, which stores the rank for each user. Okay, now let's try and iterate over the data in each TD element. So for TD in tr dot find all, and then let's feed in the TD tag. Now within this loop, let us use the print statement. Then let's print the name variable, and within it we want to extract the TD data. So TD dot text dot strip. Now this would help us to successfully extract all the data, but let us have a look at what happens if we run this code. Let me use a print statement so that we can differentiate between each user. Now let us try and execute this code. And as you can see that we have successfully extracted the data, but each data corresponds to the string username. We do not want that, so we have to play around with our code a little bit. And now you will understand why we created these three variables. We will simply swap the values between them, and that would help us to yield the correct output. So let us simply swap the name variable with the elo variable, and the elo variable with the rank variable. So what that would essentially do is it will print the username in the first case, then in the second case name becomes elo. So while printing the value of the elo variable, it will point to the variable name, but this time name stores the value of elo, which was elo. So instead of username, you will get elo printed in this case. Similarly, in the third case, elo will store the value of rank, which means name will now store the value of elo, which now stores the value of rank. So that would mean in the third case, the variable would display elo. So let us try and have a look at that. Let's execute our code. And there we go, success. As you can see, we have successfully extracted the required data that we needed and printed it in the exact format that we wanted. Now this is how you have to go around with your logic. You have to think which is the parent element within the web page. You have to extract that parent element, use it, and move on to the child elements. And from the child elements, you have to extract the exact data that you need. And in this case, as you can see, we needed to make a few adjustments with the variables. Now you might come up with a different logic as well, but that's good to go as long as it works. So I hope this example was clear enough. Please join me in the next video where I'm going to explain the next example.